Hi, Jay.
Hi, can you hear me, guys? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yes, Jay.
Can you guys hear us okay?
Yes.
Perfect.
Since we don't know how many people are going to be attending, it may be helpful if y'all could answer the online poll as it comes up.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Indiana Department of Transportation's virtual open house meeting for the statewide Transportation Improvement Program for fiscal years 2026 through 2030, commonly known as the STIP, which is how we will refer to the document for the next part of the meeting here. My name is Jay Mitchell. My name is Jay Mitchell. I am the supervisor of the technical planning program at NDOT. And in that job, I also see part of the operation of the STIP, but it's basically managed by April Lecky, who is here today in the background. In addition to that, we have Kat Seeley, who is serving as the director of the meeting, and she will be presenting a PowerPoint presentation on the STIP shortly. And Allison Shaner will be here in the background taking questions that come in the chat. And also, we have Brandon Bergoa from our staff here, and he has some question polls that he'll be presenting as well. And so the way the meeting will be structured is we'll probably start out with Brandon presenting a poll question. He'll leave that question up, or several questions, through the entire meeting itself. And then at the end of the meeting, he will announce the results of those meetings, of those questions, of those poll questions. So we'll start out with a brief presentation after that with Kat Seeley, and then we will open up the floor to question and answers. And in between there, we'll also have a few more poll questions that we will post. So having said that, the STIP is technically a 4-year programming document, and I'm going to turn the floor back over to Kat Seeley, who's then going to possibly introduce Brandon Bergoa. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kat Seeley. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll introduce myself. I'm the Planning Program Outreach Manager for NDOT, and it looks like Brandon is getting his first poll question ready, so I will give the floor to Brandon.
Hey team, this is Brandon. I've got a poll for you today. If you can, on your device, you can either use the QR code or go to wooclap.com. That's WOOCLAP.com, wooclap.com. And to participate in the questions, you'll type in the event code GMRBMB. So that's code Good Morning, Robot, Bravo, My Bad. And the first question we've got on here is going to be, what transportation projects are most important to you? So you can write in, this is fill in the blank, short answer. Perhaps you are into bicycle infrastructure, or you are concerned about intersection improvements. It could be along the lines of pedestrian safety or accessibility. You are able to answer multiple times. So let's say we've got bridges came up first. Transit, state of good repair, transportation for all, safety for all users. Okay, similar goals there. All right, and so for this next question, we'll leave it on throughout the length of the presentation. What is your priority? So it's just looking at what you find to be the most important aspect or facet of transportation, things that you would like to see the state of Indiana or NDOT focus on. And so, like I said, we will keep this poll running as the presentation goes. If we get more responses, that'll be excellent. If not, that's just the way it is. But we do appreciate you all participating. If you have
any sorts of questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A, and we will make sure that we get those answered. We appreciate your time, and thanks for coming out.
Thank you, Brandon, and sorry for the short delay. I'm getting used to the technology that we're using to host this meeting. So again, I'm Kat Seeley, and I'm going to go through and just give a bit of an informative presentation about what the STIP is. So again, if you do have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A feature to ask those questions. So what is the STIP? The STIP is a statewide transportation improvement program, as Jay already kind of introduced for us. It is federally required 4-year funding and scheduling document for all surface transportation projects, which includes road, highway, pedestrian trails, bicycle facilities, bridge, and transit. It is a budget document that is used to schedule and fund projects and lists all projects expected to be funded within 5 years with federal funds, as well as state-funded projects that have been deemed regionally significant. The reason why you see 5 years in that statement and 4 years in the statement above is because Indiana adds a 5th year for planning purposes, but the federal requirement is to have 4 years of projects programmed. So the STIP is important. Here's a few reasons why. Federal and state money cannot be spent on a project unless that project is listed in the STIP. It's developed in cooperation with metropolitan planning organizations, MPOs, and public transit providers, regional planning organizations throughout the state. It's coordinated with statewide transportation plans, metropolitan plans, and transportation improvement programs, TIPs, which are the MPO's document that parallels with our statewide TIP. They must be compatible with TIPs for the state metropolitan areas for federally, regionally significant state-funded projects and activities. Basically, that means the projects and funding in the TIP and the STIP have to match. So what are some examples of projects that are in the STIP? Some are transit and bridge improvements. So for transit, we have operations and then also vehicle purchases. We have new bridges, we have rehabilitation and reconstruction and replacements, various maintenance activities also, including inspections, painting, debris removal, small structure, culverts, pipe, and pipelining. So there are lots of different types of projects in the STIP. We also have the roadway improvements, so everything added lanes. Again, with reconstruction, we have resurfacing. This also includes bike and pedestrian projects, operational type improvements, intersection, interchange modifications, traffic signals, intelligent transportation systems. And then we also have safety improvements, so pedestrian amenities, guardrails, railroad crossings, and slide corrections. So there are just all kinds of projects contained in the STIP. And then, so just a brief overview of how the STIP is developed. It is developed on a 2-year cycle, and then it's amended monthly. Potential projects for the STIP can come from the MPOs, corridor studies, environmental studies, technical asset engineering analyses, and transit providers, just to name a few. Each summer, INDOT district offices open a 6-month call for state projects for proposed new projects on state facilities. The projects are sorted among asset management groups, which you can see the groups listed to the right-hand side of the slide. They're ranked and prioritized through state and local processes designed to assure the broadest participation in meeting the state's transportation needs. Funding estimates are established, and the proposed projects are fiscally constrained based on their performance impacts. Stakeholder and public input is collected by MPOs, RPOs, and INDOT at various points within the STIP development process. And then finally, at the end of all of it, the STIP is approved by Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration. So this is just an image created to kind of visualize the process. So first of all, draft lists of proposed projects are created, and the timeline for that is August. And then we have early coordination between the TIP and the STIP. So that's with the MPOs, and that happens in September. And then in March, we work on the STIP verbiage and targets and funding. And then the 45-day public comment period, meetings, and which you're currently attending right now, revisions, and we process the comments throughout April and May, all to set us up for a final draft for FHWA and FTA review, input, and approval, which happens in July. So when we get to the meat really of the STIP, it's all the projects that are contained within it. These projects are listed out in tables. And so I wanted to just show you a table that comes from the STIP and kind of like just work through the information that's presented here. So every project has a sponsor, whether it's a city or a county or the Indiana Department of Transportation. So that's the first column. And then we get into the information, the DES number, the contract number, those identify the project. And then we have the work type that explains what the project is, the district it belongs to, how many miles it is, if it's a project that's a point A to point B, the federal funding category, and then the total cost of the project, because what you see coming up next is that these are by phases. So there's the preliminary engineering phase that happens, then there's the right-of-way acquisition phase, and then you get to the actual construction phase. So the total cost of the project would include all of those combined. And then that shows the cost breakdown between the federal amount and then the match. And then the funding is programmed in the year that it is to be spent in. So you can see the period 26 through 2030. So the little arrows indicate just to kind of show that that row contains all of that information. And then below that information is the performance target that is achieved by the project, and then also the location and description of the project itself. So like this image here shows 2 complete projects, and then the third project is cut off by the federal funding categories. Because we use a lot of acronyms, I just wanted to provide a list for reference, because in the table, you're going to see the acronyms, for example, CMAQ, congestion mitigation and air quality. So any one of these federal funding categories is where the money comes from. As you can see, we have the National Highway Performance, the recreational trail, safety, just to name a few. So that is like a key to understanding some of the information that is displayed in the STIP tables. Another key element that can be found in the STIP is the financial summary of the whole entire funding period, so 26 through 30. And you can see here, there's different subcategories of funds. So you can see the subtotal of federal aid, FHWA funds. There's also FTA funds. And then if you look down further in the second red circle, you can see the subtotal of state funds and the subtotal of local highway funds. And then, of course, we get to the total of all available resources of all of the money that is programmed into the STIP for this time period. Also listed separately from the line items in the table that I was showing you a couple slides back, we have a section for the major special projects that are going on for INDOT right now, where you can see the funding programmed over the various years. We have I-69, the Revive I-70, Lloyd Expressway, and so on. So these projects are singled out because they're major projects. And then just to go kind of through the different involvements of our planning partners and how this works, the INDOT district offices and their role. So there's 6 districts across the state, and they serve as the front line in terms of coordination with stakeholders and local officials. So districts are responsible for short-term planning, of projects, programming, local coordination, project management, and construction activities. The districts are responsible for submitting projects, and needs for the annual call for project for all assets within their respective district. So the districts and the project managers within them will also work with MPOs for TIP amendment activities, and they participate in the MPO technical and advisory committees and policy board meetings, select public hearings, and are active members of the asset management teams. So then another partner that helps in creating all of this is the MPOs. And so in Indiana, there are 14 metropolitan planning organizations. These are policy boards of organizations created and designated to carry out the MTP, Metropolitan Transportation Planning processes. MPOs serve as a forum for local governments to provide short and long-term plans to address transportation-related concerns in the area. Short-range plans are known as the Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP. And then together with the NDOT district offices, they serve as the primary source of local input as fundamental cooperating partners in the multimodal transportation planning and program implementation process. And then to the right, you can see the map that highlights the territories covered by all of the metropolitan planning organizations. Similarly, Indiana has 15 regional planning organizations. The RPOs serve the transportation planning needs of small urban and rural areas of the state and perform eligible planning activities that support local communities. The planning activities of RPOs are aimed at supporting NDOT central office and district office transportation planning. So again, with the map, we can see the territories covered by all of the regional planning organizations. And so just a little bit about how to get involved in the planning process. So we encourage all citizens to get involved in the project discussions early, frequently, and strategically. So if you are in a major metropolitan area, work with your MPO. MPOs have regular technical and policy board meetings to discuss project policies and needs. These are open to the public, and NDOT staff is in attendance. MPOs participate in NDOT early coordination meetings targeted in May through July, but then also at various times throughout the year. MPOs relay feedback to the NDOT districts on comments, project needs, and land use changes, transportation concerns, local project coordination, and priorities on state facilities. MPOs have more local information on planning needs and develop region-specific transportation plans and transportation improvement programs. So similarly, if you're in a non-metropolitan and rural area, work with your RPO or district offices. So the public is notified of STIP review and comment period multiple ways: through media releases, legal notices, social media, web, email, and other methods. So please, sign up, get on the distribution list for the NDOT STIP updates and long-range planning projects. And then we have the review and comment period open for the draft STIP. This is a 45-day comment period every 2 years when we do a full update, versus when we have our monthly amendments, there is a 7-day public comment period. And then here at this link is where you can find the draft STIP along with a comment form that can be submitted with your comments. So we invite you to participate in public meetings and provide comments. Again, you're here, so thank you. We will hold 5 in-person open houses, and the schedule is shown on this slide. So we had our first meeting yesterday, and we will have several meetings throughout the month of April and 1 meeting into May. So please come and see us. We would love it. And then we have 2 statewide virtual meetings, the one that you're in right now, and then we will be doing this again on April 24th. And in the meantime, this meeting is being recorded, so this presentation, all the slides and everything will be available on our website. And so that link can be shared out as well. So again, another link to the STIP document and comment form. So new this year, we have introduced an interactive map survey. So this survey is unique in that hopefully you can see it. Those blue lines on the map are actually STIP projects. So you can zoom around the state, find the area that matters to you, and you can actually click on those blue lines and it will bring up the project information for that project. Then you can use the categories across the top. You can drag and drop and it'll drop a pin on the map. And then a comment box will pop open. So if you have location-based comments, you can put them right on the map. And then additionally, though, if your comment is not based on location, if you have an overall STIP comment, maybe you want to tell us that you would like to see more bicycle and pedestrian facilities. You don't have to do anything with this map. You can skip it, and the instructions in the map actually tell you how to do that, but you can skip to the next page where there is an open-ended text box that you can share whatever comments you might have. So a couple other ways to comment in addition to the form that's on our website. You can also go directly through NDOT4U. New this year, we have a STIP category to actually select to identify your comment specifically as a STIP comment, and then you can fill out the rest of the NDOT4U form and provide us information that way. And if all else fails, you can send me mail, and I would love that as well. So my address is there for you to mail in comments if that is the method that makes the most sense for you. And then the way we address public comments, we receive all these comments via the methods that I just shared with you. And we process all of the comments, and then we work with our customer service team. So we document all of the comments and we create responses to all the comments. And those comments and responses are then listed in the final STIP document included as an appendix. So there you can look back and see all the comments and how we were able to address them. So with that being said, I thank you for listening to this presentation and information about the STIP. And again, here's a couple of links. There's a link to the draft STIP, and there's a link to the interactive map survey. Well, I guess there's not a link for that. I apologize. There's just a QR code for that one. But please, we would love to have your feedback. So please choose a method and share your thoughts with us. And then with that, I think we can jump back over to Brandon if we want to check on our polls. And then we can move into the Q&A portion. So that's where we will ask you all to share any questions with us.
Hey team, this is Brandon. We are back with the poll. Hopefully you can see the screen here. If you did want to participate before we go over the final answers for what your priority is, again, you can go to wooclap.com. That's WOOCLAP.com. And the event code is GMRBMB. It's GMRBMB. And again, once you log in, you will see a question saying, what is your priority? And there are a variety of options here. Looks like we did get some responses from when we started the presentation. We got 2 votes for safe and secure travel, tied with transportation system resiliency, both having 2 votes. And it looks like we've got 3 goals or categories that also received a vote. We are looking at economic competitiveness, enhanced quality of life, and improved project delivery. Again, these polls still are live, so if you would like to put your goal or your priority in the ring, by all means, you may do so at wooclap.com, event code GMRBMB. Oh, it looks like we had a switch. We now have a vote for bike and pedestrian connectivity. We will keep this poll live while Jay or Kat is going through some frequently asked questions. So I will now stop sharing my screen and switch it over. Thank you all for participating and joining us today for the virtual STIP open house.
All right, so at this point, again, we encourage listeners to submit any questions or comments that you might have in the Q&A. And we have a couple of questions that we will go actually share with you, and maybe that will start the conversation. So give me just a second. I am going to give the floor to Allison, who has some questions. We'll be right back with you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, sorry about that. We were trying to figure out that echo. So the first question is, how is it determined what projects are a part of the STIP and what projects are not?
So thank you, Allison. Sorry, I was writing down the question and thinking about the answers as we were switching back and forth. How does a project, how do we decide which projects are part of the STIP, and then what goes in and what does not go in? Well, the first critical decision to be made is whether or not the project will be federally funded or not. If it's federally funded, it will be in the STIP. But however, will it be in the STIP in such a manner that it will be in one of the 4 years of the STIP, the 4 fiscal years? So that has to be determined as well. And what was touched on in the presentation is something that we call a call for projects, which we conduct every year, usually in the spring. And we have 4 asset management groups. And what we do is we assess our roadways continuously. We come up with concepts. We look for needs. We look at crash rates. We look at bridge inspection conditions, things of that nature, the condition of the actual surface of the roadway. And then what we determine from there is sort of a mini scope of what might be needed and what it might cost for that need, and then when it would actually be best to program it in the STIP. And then those projects are submitted in the call for projects. They're evaluated, then they are scored. And because we never have enough money to buy everything we need in any given year, we have a budget, and then we basically, for lack of a better description, we go down the list. The highest scoring gets programmed in that particular phase and year where it fits best. And we keep going down the list until we essentially run out of the budget in that particular category. And those categories are mobility, which is added travel lanes, new interchanges, things of that nature, pavement preservation, bridges, and then safety as well. Those are the key categories. And that's essentially how a project gets into the STIP. Now, how do you get that? If you're in the public, if you're a member of the public, how would you let us know that there's a problem? Or how, maybe, I mean, we have our tools, we check our roads continuously. We basically know where and if we have some issues to deal with. But sometimes oftentimes we get complaints or comments from the public about a certain road, certain condition of road, crash rates on that road, and so forth. those are not ignored. Those go into the mix as well, and that can also have an impact on the scoring of the project, or at least the identification of the project and the severity of the need, I should say, not the project, because need comes first, then the project follows later. But that's pretty much how a project will get into the STIP. Federally funded, need, scores well, and is submitted and chosen in the call for projects. Next question, if there's one.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. So another question is, why is it critical to plan so far ahead?
Oh, that's pretty much an easy answer, at least for the 4 years. And that is so that we can manage our cash flow versus what our need is. So we can't overspend our budget. We're not permitted to do that. So we have to prioritize our needs and our projects and then place those into the STIP itself, those that are federally funded. And so that's why we do that. And that's how that works. Another thing that I did want to point out here that sort of came to mind as the presentation was going on, the STIP itself, which is currently in draft form and published on our website, if you were to go there and you were to look at your projects or your county or your city in particular, you might, if it's a city, you might be disappointed and you might say, what's going on? I don't see anything here. Am I getting, did they ignore us? The answer is no. So what we do is, you heard mention of metropolitan planning organizations. Those are designated by the federal government and by the governor of the state for any city or metropolitan area that has a population of 50,000 or more. And those areas are responsible for transportation in their area. And they also are required to have something that's known as a transportation improvement program, a TIP, sort of a miniature STIP in a sense. Rather than duplicate their TIP in our STIP, what we do at NDOT, we've elected to include the local projects, the city projects, which are for MPOs, their MPO TIPs by reference. In so doing, you will not necessarily see the project listed specifically in our project listing, but if you go to the MPO's TIP, the project will be listed there. And that by virtue of being incorporated into the STIP by reference is therefore in the STIP. So if you happen to be looking at Bloomington, the city of Bloomington, and you're saying, I don't see anything, you need to go to the Bloomington Metropolitan Planning Organization's website. Also on our STIP page, we generally will keep a link for all of the MPO tips rather, so that they're easy to reference and find. I thought I'd point that out for you as well. And so next question, if there are any. Check
Yeah,
that
we
question.
have one more question, unless
Okay.
anyone has any last minute burning questions they want to throw in the chat. But
We're here. Load us up.
once this current public comment period ends, how can the public still be involved in the STIP process?
Oh, okay. Well, as Kat kind of alluded to, it's not the end. It's not the end until NDOT actually submits the STIP, the draft STIP, to Federal Highway for final review. So if we close out after 45 days and you thought of something, or you have something that, I really would like to include this in the comments, you can still do that. And what you have two opportunities, actually three opportunities to do that. One, and I have a piece of paper here, and you can go to our website and there's a link there for something known as NDOT for You. You can make a telephone call. You can submit a form on the link itself. We ask that you please say STIP related. It helps us to identify which comments actually flow to us, as opposed to we have some dead possums on the road or something of that nature. In addition to that, you can always mail us. I mean, it's a slow process, but it will get to us eventually. So those are the three main methods. The best method, in my opinion, is basically NDOT for You and to submit a form. Now, if you want to telephone NDOT for You, their number is 855-463-6848. And there will be somebody to take your message. And if they are not there, there'll obviously be an opportunity for voicemail. But most of the time, there's actually somebody manning the phones. So, any other questions?
Yeah, we had one come in. What trends are we seeing in the types of projects included in the STIP over the past iterations?
The major trend is preservation, meaning maintenance. So our trend from building big new roads has slacked off. And we basically have our system, while not fully complete, the way we like it, it's complete within our budget at this time. We still have some other projects we're working on. The one we just finished last summer is the long-awaited I-69 roadway to Evansville. There's one last segment of that, by the way, and that goes to Kentucky to connect I-69 to Kentucky across the Ohio River. But most of our projects now, and our focus is pretty much turned to maintenance and preservation of our existing bridges and roads. I would like to point out one other thing, and that has to do with the comments themselves. You can certainly continue to submit those comments. I think I noted that, but yes, you can do that as well. And one other thing about comments. The STIP, while we try to make it perfect or close to perfect, as we develop projects, things change. The design might slightly change. The cost will obviously change because we may not know when we initially program a project in the STIP what the true cost of the project is until we actually go through, look at the environmental side, the preliminary engineering, and the actual design. Then we have a better feel for the actual cost, at which time we will make amendments to the STIP to reflect those changes and to keep the public in the know as to what's going on. When those amendments happen, we also publish those on our website, and they're generally published nearly monthly, and you can make comments at that time. And we always appreciate comments on our amendments as well. Allison, any other questions?
None that I'm seeing on my end.
Okay. Well, we will still be here for a while. And a while would be maybe the next 10 minutes or so, where we will entertain questions or comments come in. After which time, if there are no other comments, we will be closing the meeting. So we will wait a little bit, we'll check in. We'll try to provide you with tidbits of information to kind of keep you entertained if we can. And then after that time period, we'll close things out. I did see, and I'm not sure, our STIP director is with us in the background today, and her name is Kat. No, I'm sorry, it is April Lucky. And April may or may not want to comment on a few things that I might have missed or Kat might have missed. So I'll give her that opportunity now. If she does not want to join in, that's fine. So Kat, if you could maybe ask April if she has anything to say, and if she does, then we'll put her on there. And I think her answer is she'd rather not at this time, that we've covered everything that she had pointed out. So having said that, Kat, would you put the presentation back on the screen for the time being, and we'll wait to see if there are any other questions that come through. And as you put the presentation on the screen, perhaps you could maybe even run through it a little bit. By run through it, I mean move from page to page, not do the narrative side. Thank you.
All right, so I do have the presentation back up. I actually right now intentionally have it on the final screen still, so you can see a link to the actual STIP and another shameless plug for our interactive map survey that I hope you all will take a look at and leave us some information. It's really user friendly. We're really happy to be able to utilize this survey for the STIP update this time around. Hold on, let me fix that presentation. Actually, while I'm messing around with my screen here, can we check back in with Brandon to see if we have any more responses on our poll?
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. I'm going to share my screen here. This is an update to our WooClap poll. Looks like we have had a couple other votes come through or answers changed. We've got 2 votes for safe and secure travel, 1 vote for economic competitiveness, 1 for bike and pedestrian connectivity, 4 votes taking the cake with transportation system resiliency, 1 for quality of life or enhanced quality of life, no votes for enhanced accessibility, and 1 vote for improved project delivery. For those who would still like to participate, you can go to wooclap.com, use the code GMRBMB, and it will ask you what is your priority in the realm of transportation. I don't believe we have gotten any other responses for the first poll, but we'll leave the word cloud open. This is open-ended. So just saying or asking rather, what transportation projects are most important to you? This could be new roads, this could be bicycle infrastructure, could be traffic signals, roundabouts, infrastructure improvements, anything along those lines. And again, if you would like to cast your vote, you can go to www.wooclap.com, type in event code GMRB MB. Looks like we've got a lot of safety on here. We do love to hear that.
I'm gonna jump in. Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, at the beginning of the meeting, I should have thought about this. If you would like to share with us that you're attending, please feel free to type your name into the Q&A. We only see a number, we don't see who's here. So if you would like to let us know that you're here, please just put that in as in the Q&A feature.
We did get a couple of answers coming through. I will read through these real quick. Changing up on me, so it's possible that I miss one. But safety for all users, state of good repair. Looks like we've got pedestrian, transportation for all, roads. Oh, there's bicycle, transit, bridges, infrastructure, safe intersections, and safety, safety, safety. Let's see if I can figure out which one was added here. Arterials. So maybe that was major arterials was supposed to be put together because I believe those are newer answers or were not in the word cloud prior. Looks like we got added capacity. Those are 2 new words that came in. I'm assuming they meant to go together. Major projects. Since we do have some new answers in this poll, I'll give you just a quick second if you want to add a priority or vote for a priority. Again, we've got 7 different options for what your priority may be. You are able to vote, and you are also, I believe, able to change your vote. Right now, we've got 2 votes for safe and secure travel, 1 vote for economic competitiveness, 1 vote for bike and pedestrian connectivity. 4, oh, we got some switches here. 4 votes, transportation system resiliency. 1 vote on enhanced quality of life. 0 for enhanced accessibility, and currently 1 vote for improved project delivery. So it looks like we got an additional vote here for bike and pedestrian connectivity. We thank you for submitting that. And these are, this is useful information. We are always looking to see what are the public's priorities in terms of how we can better serve you and our transportation system. I mean, ultimately, we want to do the best job that we can possible. And the more information that we have from y'all, whether that's through polls like this, comments coming through the STIP comment form, or you showing up at a public open house, all of those get archived, recorded, and documented, and they are seriously considered as we move forward with different choices in policy direction and other, I guess, procedural changes that we make throughout the agency. But this may be all the votes we get for the polling here. I am going to stop sharing my screen, and we will switch it over if there are any other questions in the Q&A, or we may have a meeting closeout. So again, I do appreciate you all taking the time to learn about the STIP, get a little bit of more information, and to, I guess, express yourself and your ability to have an impact on Indiana's transportation system. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Brandon, and thank you, Jay and April and everybody on Allison, everybody on our team that has helped out with this meeting today. I think that I would just like to let everybody know that we will have this presentation as well as the whole meeting has been recorded and it will be available online. My presentation is available online and I'm happy to share that with anyone. You can email me. My contact information is on the website, or CAT_SEELY@indot.in.gov, and I am more than happy to share. And then again, we'll have another edition of this live meeting at the end of the month. But in the meantime, please take our survey, submit your comments, look through the STIP, and let us know what you think. Do we have any final words from anyone? Any final questions? All right, well then, thank you everyone for being here today. We appreciate your time, and please reach out if we can answer any questions or be of any help to anyone. Thank you very much. Have a great day.